Welcome to the Business Insider Podcast, where we interview the top business leaders in their respective industries. Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm excited to introduce a special VIP guest. We've got John Singleton here. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Fang Media, and they specialize in complete law firm transformation. John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is a real honor. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So as you know, I've got a bunch of questions lined up for you, and I'm sure our audience is wondering, specifically what you guys do and really what the major outcomes are for your clients that work with you. So before the podcast, you had kind of given me a brief rundown on what that looks like. If you wouldn't mind reiterating that to the audience, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so we are a digital marketing agency. We started out several years ago, focused on really helping. I came from a corporate world and decided that I wanted to help real businesses instead of, these big, behemoths. I worked for a lot of Fortune 100 companies. I said I wanted to help real, local businesses. So that's where it started. And we got into helping law firms. And that's just grown from there. We do everything from, website design to search engine optimization, helping them with their brand and reputation. And now also helping a lot with mindset and melting away limiting beliefs. A lot of people still struggle with going from being seeing themselves as a lawyer to truly owning the fact that they are a law firm owner and a business owner. And you have to make that shift if you want to grow your firm.
Absolutely. Now, if you had to define your superpower or the unique skill or insight that really sets you apart in your space, what would it be and how has it shaped your success?
All right. My superpower, I would say, is my ability to identify and attack limiting beliefs and literally melt them away like hot water melts away an ice cube. And perspective shifting.
Makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
and how has it helped in my business and in life in general? I've been gifted with an ability to truly transmute any type of perceived negative situation and understand the benefit that's coming out of it. So no matter what, the bad situation that's happened, there's always a good that comes out of it. There's never really bad. There's just you're winning or you're learning, and when you're learning, you're still winning. So you're always winning.
Oh, that makes sense. So I'm curious, John, what kind of inspired you to pursue your current path? I mean, how'd you get here, man?
Yeah, so I've been in the marketing world for almost like 18, 19 years now. I used to work corporately. I worked for major companies. We're talking, Home Depot, New York Life, Dish Network, and I was a director of new client acquisition, customer upsells, cross sells. We did direct mail marketing, all sorts of marketing tactics. So I come with a very like high level marketing strategy background. And then about 10 years ago, I started getting into digital. I actually started learning it on my own. I knew that that was the way, things were going. So I, learned how to build websites and I learned SEO and, I've spent gobs and gobs of, of time and money on becoming the best that I can be in every way. And, Riley, I mean, that's part of the game, right? It's personal development. It's becoming the kind of person that can deliver the results. And so, several years ago, when I really took this on as a full-time, role and just left corporate completely and just focused on my agency, we really honed in on getting excellent at giving businesses the visibility they need. But it's not just visibility. That's the thing. If people have all the visibility in the world, but they have a poor reputation, it's not going to matter. If they have a great reputation and great visibility, but they don't have good internal systems, like they don't have somebody answering the phone and doing intake properly, and a good sales process or a good way to identify who's going to be a good client for them or not, then it's still all for naught. So becoming the kind of person that can look at things from that 10,000-foot view and diagnose them so that, those problems wash away. That's what I do, and that's how it got here.
That's awesome, man. So through your journey and your process, how powerful has networking been to your success? And what would you recommend other entrepreneurs do to up their game?
Vital. It's networking is vital. It's something I truthfully, I mean, I haven't always um done the best of it's like I've been streaky at it over the years. Sometimes it's like I'm networking like a monster and then I'm like overwhelmed with, with work and clients and then, let it fall by the wayside a little bit. But I've re-engaged the last couple years, especially in networking heavily. And I mean, it's vital because at the end of the day, your relationships are what's important. And it's, you never know, like, for instance, Riley and you and I, like, you never know, and I don't know, or you don't know who you may know that might need my help, or may know that would be perfect for your podcast. I mean, I mean, we're a collective species and we thrive on that interaction. So you can't hole yourself up in a closet somewhere. The networking is critical. And I would say, as far as tips for anybody looking to become a better networker, um, just just look for anything in your area that allows you to just get out there, meet people, shake hands, kiss babies. It's just, show the world who you are, and the more you do that, you're going to find a lot out about yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, kind of moving on to a little bit of a different topic. Everyone's talking about AI. There's new agents coming out every day. How is AI impacting your industry, and are you utilizing it?
I utilize AI heavily. It's impacted my industry immeasurably at this point. Even in the last, I mean, I'll tell you, just in the last few days, like, with the advancements that have come, it's like, I coming from a corporate world, I'm used to having designers and a team and, oh, here's a great idea and a concept. Now, please go, create this. Now we have, AI assistants, if you will, that, can churn out, concepts and artwork and stuff that's just as good as a team can do. And it's very impactful that way because it allows me to be leaner as an agency and as an organization, so that I don't have to have the bloat that a lot of other agencies have, especially like large scale agencies. And so I don't have to pass that on to my customers. I don't need to, I don't have a $5,000 a month building that I, have to pay for. So it's allowed a lot of flexibility. And then just in terms of um, just the way you can attack problems just incredibly quickly.
Absolutely. It's definitely, helped us in a lot of ways. When it comes down to it, saving costs and increasing efficiencies is the two best use cases for it, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
analyzing data that used to take weeks,
Hmm.
months, it can be done in 1 second, literally. It's crazy, man, and it's exciting to see where it's going to go. It's really the Wild West out there in the online space.
It absolutely is. And it's funny coming from a background of big data and, statistical significance and all those things we'd use to measure marketing campaigns. Like now, yeah, like that you can have, major analysis done on something that would take, it used to take me years ago when I was an analyst, it would take me, a day that this, will do in 2 seconds. It's pretty incredible.
What is one of the biggest challenges you've had to face as an entrepreneur? How did you overcome it? And what is one lesson you learned from that experience?
One of the biggest challenges I've had to face. All right, I have one. So I went through a hurricane, actually the last 2 years in a row, because we live out here on the water, and my home flooded twice. and I work out of my home, so I have a home office here. So my biggest challenge was um, managing my client responsibilities, making sure everybody is, still taken care of, in the white glove way that I like to do it, whilst, also navigating, rebuilding a home.
Yeah.
And the first time, it was a bigger challenge than this last time, but it's taught me that no matter, what comes, we're all strong. We're strong enough to overcome it. And we don't just survive, but we can thrive.
No, I mean, I've heard a lot of, that's definitely one negative of moving to Tampa, is definitely that thought there. Yeah, you guys get blasted with hurricanes, man. It's insane.
Riley, I'll tell you, I grew up here in this area, and for the longest time, it was not the case. I don't know if it's just more of a coincidence, freaky the last couple years, but the area that I live in, until a couple years ago, there hadn't been anything to happen in 30 years. So I don't think it's, a trend. It's just, but it was,
Luck, eh?
it was just, it was due. I guess the area was due.
Yeah,
Everyone's due sometime. So, but that's okay because, I will tell you, even in the midst of something like that, where my entire community was literally underwater, you couldn't tell when that storm came through where the roads
that's
began
crazy.
and the ocean ended. Yeah, there was no, but out of that, um, you know, uh, whether somebody has faith or not, that's up to them. But I can attest wholeheartedly that I saw the power of God and faith and community and people coming together and saw miracles happen every day. And so even in the worst times, there's so much to be thankful for. So it was transformative experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, kind of walk me in the get in the audience through kind of what the experience looks like for a client that works with you, and what outcomes should they expect?
Well, working with me, the outcome that they should expect is, I'm going to get them the results they're seeking. Now, how we get to those results really kind of depend on the client needs, right? Not every client, there's no cookie cutter out there. It's not McDonald's. It's not, there's no assembly line system for somebody's business and dreams. At the end of the day, everybody starts a business because they have a dream. They have something internally that's propelling them to, a vision, right? And so, first, it's understanding what that vision really is and what they've done so far to help, get them there, understand what roadblocks they've encountered, and then figure out, you know, are we even the right fit? Can we plug in to, what their vision is and propel them, to it faster, faster, easier, simpler. If we can, then great. If we can't, then, we're not going to work with them anyway. But once we find out that we're a fit and everything, is a go, we deconstruct their business from their messaging, their brand, understanding really who they want to attract as an ideal client. So many people out there, even it doesn't really matter what the business is because I've worked with other businesses too, but everybody just thinks, well, um, my phone rang. I gotta, take this person. I gotta take them on. They, that like, cause they feel like they need the business. They're not able to be selective about the business that they're getting a lot of times. So, um, our desire and the way that we operate is we work to get them the results that they desire, which is having more flexibility in cases that they take. Um, Building a brand that their reputation shines above everybody else. Um, like we've a couple of the firms we've worked with. I mean, when we started, we have a reputation management program, and when we started, these firms would have, maybe like 10 reviews, 15 reviews on Google, and you can go on and you look, and even if they had a smidge of visibility, like nobody was calling them because even if they were in the 3 pack or the map pack is what they call it in the digital world. um, you have three, two other law firms. And those other law firms have, 80 reviews, 100 reviews, 200 reviews, and you have 10. Like nobody's calling you. Maybe they do and maybe they will, but you're the third choice or the fourth choice or the eighth choice. We position our clients into being the first choice. That's at the end of the day. We want our client to be the first choice because not everybody's a right fit for everybody. Just because you get the call doesn't mean that they're going to hire you, and just because you get the call doesn't mean you want to hire them. But you want to be the obvious choice for your market, and that's what we do for our clients.
Love that, man. That's an awesome process you guys have. Now, what advice would you give to someone that was aspiring to follow in your footsteps, whether that's as an entrepreneur or, being a marketing specialist?
Okay, that's a good one. First off, life is extremely short. So if you have, a calling or a passion for it, go for it. Now, that doesn't mean, run out and quit your job. If you, have a job and you're trying to, pay bills and have, family and have a house and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but, there are things you can do every single day that drive you closer to the point where you can make this a full-time career. Um, when I started 10 years ago, I was working corporate and I learned how to build websites. And then I went out and got a couple of website clients. And it was like, oh, I can, did those at night and, did my regular job, during the day. But then, you build up a reputation for yourself, your name gets out there and you start to, market yourself a little. And then it's just step by step by step. And pretty soon, you're crawling to walking to running. But you have to have resiliency as an entrepreneur, and you have to have relentlessness. If you don't have resiliency and you don't have relentlessness, you'll get run over. It's just there are life in general, and this is life too. This isn't even just business, it's life. You have to be resilient. Things will happen that are unexpected. You have to, but if you understand that you're powerful enough to overcome them, and it's just a challenge, it's not an insurmountable problem, it's a challenge. Well, challenges are fun. Treat it like a game. How would I solve this puzzle? It's like what games aren't fun unless there's a challenge to them. That's how, you should treat your business and treat your life. But also, with the respect it deserves, and understand that, not only is your livelihood at stake, but, your business, your clients' livelihoods are at stake. It's a delicate balance. So if you're going to do it with all your heart and soul.
That, man. And if you wanted the viewers to take one thing away from this interview, or you could impart with one final thought or idea, what would that be?
One final thought or idea. Don't don't be afraid to change your identity. And what I mean by that is so many people get locked into life thinking that something has to be a certain way. And they get so hyper focused into like this laser focus into that area that they lose all of the access to all the resources everywhere else that, could be propelling them to their goals, their dreams, their future. Your identity actually should be flexible. Your core identity is, that we're all, here created in the image of God, and, we are here on a mission, and, we have purpose, and, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We all have a purpose. And if you're fulfilling your purpose or even searching for your purpose, you're already winning. And from there, the rest of it is just, you know, actions you take, things you do, environments that you're in. The environment can always change. You can always do something different. You're not stuck. So when you don't play stuck, because that limits your options to, change your business, change your life, change somebody else's life.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's amazing advice, man. I love that. And John, if any of our viewers, want to connect, collaborate, or even work with you, what would be the best way for them to get in contact?
Best way to get in contact would be email. So my email is John, John, at Redfang Media, Redfang media.com. That's the direct pipeline to me. Um, and I would say that's the best way.
All right, perfect, man. Well, guys, I'm gonna link all of John's stuff in the description, so definitely go check out what him and his team are up to. They're doing an amazing job for their clients. And John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man. It was such a pleasure having you and learning about what you do.
Thank you, Riley. It's super cool. Thanks for the invite, and I'm happy to have served. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure, man. Anytime, anytime. All right, that was it, man. Easy peasy.
Cool.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I think you did an amazing job of demonstrating, how you guys separate yourself from, your competitors and really what you're looking for, with your clients, man. I think it's really cool how you guys like you made it very clear, like we're not just like we're not picking up every phone call and onboarding every single person we speak to. Like we're very specific in who we work with because you want that, white glove solution. That's awesome, man.
Well, hey, like I've made that mistake, I've made the mistake. I've taken on people that I shouldn't have taken on, um, out of wanting to help them, out of wanting to help them, but they weren't ready to help themselves to begin with. And, you can't help somebody that isn't willing to help themselves. And
Yes.
then they just you know, become just a nightmare. And no matter what you do, um, like I'm a over deliver. I'll give you an example. I took on a client one time that I just like my heart was there for them. They were a newer business. They had some success, but and they were growing, but they didn't have a big budget. But like my heart got tugged and I'm like, okay, well, I would really like to be able to help them. So I took them on at a very reduced rate. Um, and I was like, and it was actually during one of these storms, and it was like, okay, well, you know, everything's in flux. I need a little bit of extra, income coming in. Let me just take this guy. I can help him because I know I could help him. And you know what? I didn't evaluate it as thoroughly as I would in a normal circumstance and got into it. And I was like, oh my God, like this guy doesn't even, I knew he had a website, right? But I didn't know until I really dug deep that he had a one-page GoDaddy builder website. He didn't have a website. And I was like, I can't do anything with this guy until he has like a legit website, especially for local search. You need a website, you need, your local pages. You have a lot of identity stuff to tie in. And so I ended up building this guy a website for free. And because I already told him I could help him, I wasn't gonna go back to him and say, "Oh, sorry, wasn't thorough this time because my life was a little bit hectic." So that's just not me. I'm not going to do that. So instead, um, I was like, you know what? I'm going to build him a site. So I did. And I mean, it would have been a site that if I would have charged somebody off the street, would have been at least $8,000. Um, and his his rate that I took because he didn't have that much was not that. And so that was my final time that I said I'm not gonna because it's just easy trap to step into sometimes. And I've done it and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that again. Um, but I'm always gonna leave somebody um better off than, when they're done than before they met me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it definitely can be it can definitely be quicksand once you kind of start getting into that area for sure. But yeah, man, I had a pleasure having you on, John.
Yeah.